We are recording even the book talk to, or
Um, well, I'm just recording the. Usually, I record and then upload to our channel.
hmm.
So I don't know. You have any presentation, or you want to go by, or yeah, just
Yeah, I'll just start off and then start with the presentation a little bit later on. So I think in this chapter, right, it is the chapter 8. It's the Theosophical Society. So in this chapter, David addresses many of the things which pertaining to the Theosophical Society, which in generally we don't think in those terms as he has written in here, partly for the reason that we accept Theosophy for its value because we have been in it for many years and we are not, most of us are not new to its teachings, so we don't have an outsider's perspective or a view because we kind of feel it is our family, it is something which we have grown up with, or we have come into the Theosophical family for quite from few years we have been in here and we trust it. But um, but then when we look at it from an outside point of view or outside perspective, it is very appreciative, or we should point to be noteworthy is that whatever the teachings that we see in the society, or whatever society teaches us, there is no dogma. That means there is nothing that the society says that, okay, this is the truth and this is the absolute truth and you have to believe it. And if you are a member of the society, then this is what you have to believe and this is the rituals you have to do. This is something you have to stick by and accept it, except for the objectives, which if you believe in what the society objectives is laid out, the first three objectives, other than that everything is free. That means you are free to think, you're free to study, you're free to interpret, and every one of us is free to understand to our own level of maturity and our own level of experience and interpret it in our own way. So that is what David addresses here in the point. I'm not going as it is written in here because I'm picking few of the essays that um, speaks louder than the others and which is more very important, right? So here in the part where it is doctrine without dogma, he says that not just um, not just like if we go around looking at any religion, most of the religions, and maybe the founders of the no but the masters who came down to preach, give the religion to us, they didn't come down to give the religion, but they came down to give us a teaching. Now, once those masters or adepts moved on, passed on, may it be Prophet of Muhammad, or may it be Jesus or Buddha or anybody, the disciples who were left kind of combined those teachings and kind of made it into a religion. And now some of the religions went into extreme that you have to believe in certain set of whatever rules or teachings that we are giving it to you. You have to follow this ritual. You have to, if you are becoming like a Christian, you have to go to church, you have to go to a mosque or something like that. Not just those two, right? Those are just examples. In every religion we see that some people have used the teachings of the masters to their own benefit. So this is how the religion actually started off. But with society, we are always given the choice that we are giving you the theory, we are giving you all the tools that is necessary for you to grow spiritually. We give you all the knowledge, but we are not going to say that you have to believe in it, but we want you to study, interpret and understand and apply it to the level possible in your practical life, but don't consider this as a dogma that you have to stick by. So that Bruce points out here very, very nicely, right? let me know if you guys are able to see mine.
Yes, we are
Yeah,
up
we
there.
can see.
So here you can see. TS does not have a dogma. Theosophy has a number of cardinal principles often referred to as doctrines. These doctrines are when people in some circles, a doctrine becomes crystallized into dogma and is then generally accepted without question. So that is completely against the principle of Theosophical Society. That means we are not going to give you any dogma, and then we are not going to force you to accept by it and live by it. That is one of the best and most conducive environment for people to grow at their own pace without any pressure, without putting them or subjecting them to unwanted manipulation of their thought process, saying that okay, if you don't believe it, this is what is going to happen, or this is something you're going to be punished and you're not going to go to heaven, or things like that. So the dogmatic attitude tends to discourage free, open-minded inquiry, because the first principle of the society is to encourage open-minded inquiry into science, religion, and philosophy, and a point where all these converge and makes more sense, because not each one of the topic by itself makes sense to human beings, right? So this is a first and fundamental freedom that we have being part of this society, and we should really thank our founders who laid this as a founding stone in the foundations of theosophy very strongly. And even starting from Blavatsky, she says that do not take whatever I tell you for just because I'm saying it, just because I'm talking to the masters, you think that masters are telling me all these things and they have taught me these, then just don't say that I have to accept this because this is coming from some higher authority. She said, use this as a stepping stone, use this, apply it, and the more you think about it, that's how you are going to develop. Don't take it for what it is. TS members are encouraged to study, ask questions, and interpret, because theosophy is not a creed to be accepted as an article of faith. So this is very clearly, she states this, that it is not to be accepted as an article of faith. Now I'll just take a pause here, and I want to ask you guys to share your thoughts on this part of the chapter. If you have any, what did you feel, and how your experience, or anything that you wanted to add.
Well, I'm very glad that it is true, because my friend gave me an ultimatum. For example, if you don't believe like me, I'm not going to be friends with you anymore. So I'm very happy for this principle, because otherwise I couldn't be a member of the society, because some of my views differ very much from yours.
Yeah.
A dogma is a belief, right?
Yeah, dogma is like something hardcore belief that there is no second to it. Like if I say this is right, then that is right. You cannot argue against it.
What you're talking about has been discussed in the April 2021 issue of the Theosophist.
Okay.
It says the exact same thing. And I've uploaded a link if anybody's interested.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just now got my mail for the book, and I was looking at it, I didn't study it yet. It's so coincident you mentioned it, because I was just walking by and I saw it. Oh, I have to read this issue. I haven't yet read, and now you you said something. Okay. So then we can go to the next part within the essay. The chapter itself, or I think the whole book itself, he has small snippets. And I was reading the introduction to it and preface, and he says that how over a period of many years that the whole book was small essays that he had written for the journal, for the magazine, when they used to mail out the journals to people, like, before 2005, was it? So he was like, okay, these were all small parts, just as a cover page. He used to write these things. That was very interesting for me. That I didn't even know that used to happen, and they used to mail out back then. And coming to think of it, we have so much advanced in technology that we have email now, and then we can meet virtually too. And with all this shutdown, that's just amazing. So the next topic he addresses is freedom of thought. So one thing he stresses is uh, any person, like for that matter, any human, it is a part of a human nature that if I get to know something, if I get to know experience, like say I watch a good movie on Netflix, right? Then I enjoyed it so much, then I'm going to go around telling everybody like, oh, you have to watch this movie, this is so good, this is so much fun. And probably that is to my taste and my interest and my catering, but I still go around telling everybody, oh, you have to watch it, it's so good. Oh, haven't you watched it? Why you haven't watched it? You have to watch it. Maybe that person is not, it's not his cup of tea, but still we have a tendency to, when we enjoy something, we go around sharing this with our stressing about it to others. Now David points out in this part of the chapter that the same thing we have to be cautious happens with our philosophical or our spiritual growth too. When we come to some of the philosophical ideas presented by society or by any religion or by any sect, and somehow it clicks with you, it clicks with us, and then we like it and we feel that it is true, and now we experience some kind of spiritual epiphany, and then we get into that state of stillness or whatever they are talking about in every other meditation or anything, and then you experience it personally. It's not just you know about it now you experience it, and you experience that blissful state. What happens is immediately we go around telling everybody, oh, you have to join society, because you know what, I've attended a couple of classes there, and then I studied some books, and then now I have come to this great understanding, and I have acquired so much self-realization and that and this. Yes, it is true, but at the same time he says that we are trying to, it might be because we know one of our friend is going through a hard time, and whatever we are reading, whatever is studying makes sense to us, and from our point of view we think that that person, this kind of study and this kind of knowledge is going to benefit her or him, and we try to push this on to them, even though it is of a very good natured, it is good natured because we are not doing any harm to them, we are giving something good stuff. But David says that there is a fine line is crossed when we begin by trying to help someone and end up trying to control them. That means every person in this world is on their own journey, on their own quest. When they have the thirst for the knowledge, when they experience that they need something more and they start seeking, then then God is going to make sure that his thirst is quenched, not in the way he quenched your thirst, but he has his own way of quenching everybody's thirst for that knowledge or for that deeper purpose or understanding of life, because everyone is on their own journey. That soul has gone through many incarnations and many lessons that they have learned, and they have come to a point wherein what makes sense to you may not make sense to them. Maybe they are not at that point where they need to be, or maybe you yourself are not at a point where where you can understand them. But with our limited perspective, we think that they need this help, and I have to make sure that they're coming to the society, or they're doing this puja, or they're doing this ceremony or chanting or that and this, and we try to impose this upon them. So he says that we have to be very careful when we go through this kind of stuff, because we might alienate people completely, right? We might, first of all, we might hurt them, we might hurt their feelings, we might become emotionally disconnected with them, because whatever emotional state they are in, we might not be in that state and we are not able to connect with them anymore. At the same time, it might downright hurt them that you are pushing your own belief system on them by stressing how important whatever you think is, and not paying attention to what they actually need, right? So he says that be very careful whenever you are in your society, in being a society member. We have an extra responsibility. He says that being a theosophist, we have extra responsibility to understand that this is how the mind works. So if you catch yourself trying to push your belief, or just even going to the society, or like, being part of being a member or whatever it is, then if you are trying to knowingly or unknowingly trying to push it, and if you catch yourself doing it, always stop. Because the more we push or try to spoon feed or force feed literally other people, we might be hurting them. It is bad karma for us, and at the same time, it is not advised by the adepts too. Like, masters don't encourage that. When they are ready, they are going to seek for that knowledge, and they are going to be served with that knowledge to the extent that is required for them at that stage of life. That we are having a very limited understanding. As much as we think that she is or he is my close friend, I know what is going on with her life, she is my childhood friend, I have seen her, this is how she behaves, and this is exactly what she needs to understand, and she needs to stop doing this or start doing this. As much as we understand, we do not know the soul's journey. The soul has been through many lifetimes, many incarnations, have a lot of tremendous experience, and it is something that what you think that he or she needs to learn may not be the lesson that the life is trying to teach them. It might be completely different, right? So we have to give that freedom of thought. That means you have to free yourself first, liberate yourself from the thought that you have to go around, you have a moral obligation to go around helping and feeding this knowledge to everybody. At the same time, when there is somebody seeking for it, yes, go ahead and give them what you have. But at the same time, when if there are people who don't want it, then don't force feed it, right? In one of the statements, he says that the General Council of the Theosophical Society in 1924 adopted the freedom of thought resolution, which states no teacher or writer from HPB downwards has any authority to impose his teachings or opinions on members. See, this is something speaks to how open-minded and how forward-thinking society was even back then, wherein every society or organization from its founding, the one core value they believe in is we have to get in as many members as possible. We have to, our main agenda should be to spread our message and make sure that people trust us and we get more membership. That way our society becomes strong, and our more the membership, the more sustained the society will be. That's how most of the organizations might think. But when it comes to society, one thing we have to appreciate is they say that no teacher, no writer from HPB downwards has any authority to impose its teachings or opinions on members. That means it gives its members absolute freedom, right? Freedom to believe what we are saying, what society is giving us and serving us. At the same time, freedom to not believe it, and freedom to question it, and freedom to interpret it in our own way. So this is something which stands out completely extraordinary, what do you say, path that the society has taken, and that itself has helped society to gain its members' trust, and saying that, okay, I'm part of the society, but the society doesn't dictate my life, it doesn't dictate my way of life, it doesn't dictate my beliefs, it doesn't dictate my thought process, it doesn't even dictate anything in my life. It gives me it enhances me, it supports me. At the same time, as much as I need, as much as I need it, I can absorb. As much as I don't need it, I can just be free of it, right? Going forward, he also says further, President Dorothy Ebbinghaus noted, members of the society are free to think, to believe, to work for any truth they find valid. At the same time, each must respect the freedom of all other members to find their own truth. So this is something I can say that society, each and every society member I have met in my life, I see that this is very, very prevalent. Nobody pushes you, nobody is judging you, nobody is saying, oh, you don't come to the classes, you are a member, you're not, you have to, like, nobody is pressuring anybody. This one thing is what binds us together. Just because we have giving everybody their space and everybody is experiencing that kind of freedom and liberty around them, that way they are not pressurized, makes them want to be part of it, right? That itself is pushing and making is adding us as a adherent for us to not leave this organization, because we find this very very conducive for our own growth. So we can take some time to reflect on this topic. Anybody? Okay. Yeah.
One thing I guess there's no centralized thought that we impose on others. But my question is, there's something called the Theosophical worldview, right? Uh, those worldview, the so-called Theosophical worldview, are something that is shared among the member.
Mm.
Now, whether or not the member believe in them, that's a different thing, right?
Mm.
But there is a worldview that most theosophists share,
Mm.
and I think that that is something that you get from the books, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's very true. That's a very good point, actually, you brought up. See, society gives us the principles of life, like, say it's because about karma or reincarnation, or like, cycles of life and all the things that is going on. Like, just like Buddhism also gives the path of the righteous path. They say that, okay, this is how you have to be, to, like, conduct yourself, the eightfold path. Or in Hinduism, they give the path of the dharma, so the virtues, right? So dharma is like, something, it's a rule to abide by, just like society also gives its teachings, but it doesn't impose it. It doesn't restrict the persons to say that if you are not following this, you are out of our organization or something like that. So, but this theosophical point of view is something we adopt or develop within ourselves by our study and understanding what the teaching society has given. But at the same time, if there might be two theosophists having two different points of view about the same subject, right? Even both can be argued as, okay, this is how theosophy says it, and this is the other way. The other person might say, okay, no, that's not right. This is how I see it. So that freedom of interpretation also is there, right? So that I feel is something to be appreciated, being as a members, that we don't have to accept with everybody. At the same time, we are not restricted from having our own interpretation and thoughts.
Well, the interpretation is in every religion. And
Mm.
that is why we have so many different groups. I mean,
True,
we
true.
have
Yeah,
Baptists and Catholics and
yeah,
Shias and Sunnis and all that. So that's because of different interpretations.
interpretations. True. Yeah, yeah. Very nice point, that also. Okay. So we'll go on to the next topic. the White Lotus Day and the importance of White Lotus Day is something he addresses that it two places. The last part of the chapter.
Did we bypass the importance of history?
Oh no, I am not doing. As I mentioned, I am not going in an order. I'm just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'll come back to that.
No problem.
I think the next slide is importance of the history. Yeah, we'll come to that. So, the White Lotus Day. Throughout the Theosophical world, May 8th is known as a White Lotus Day to commemorate the day Madame Blavatsky passed away in 1891. Right? We all know about that. And and she, when she just before passing away, she requested that this May 8th be celebrated as White Lotus Day. And that day she requested everybody, all true theosophists, to gather, study her teachings or her master's teachings, and strive to be better students on this path of spirituality. So that she was earnestly, that was her life's goal, to make as many people as possible realize the importance of what the teachings the masters have given us down, and also to understand that there is a higher purpose for life, not just we are born, we just grow up, and then we get settled in life, do work and have a family, and then we feel like we're old and we just pass on. She said that is not the purpose of life. There is a higher purpose of life, which is an underlying current that is happening within us, within the society, and everywhere. She says that take time to reflect on that, understand and question why you are here. What is a higher purpose? This whole book named very aptly, what is the higher purpose of life? So serving that higher purpose is to realize the divinity within us. Where did we come from? Where are we going? And how are we going to get there? That part of, she answered all these questions, right? Where did we come from? And where are we going? And in between, how are we supposed to get there? This whole establishment of the society's purpose was to help us understand the path of how do we get to our destination, not to the destination of our life successes, but the destination of the spirit, the divine spirit within us. So this understanding, and this was her life's work, and she dedicated her whole life she herself understanding what was this purpose, and she spent a good number of years training for that with the masters and learning and understanding very keenly. And when she was sent down back to the world, then she made this as her mission, life's mission, to spread this knowledge to everybody, to understand the purpose of life and how to get there, the process to get there, right? So she says that May 8th should be that day wherein all these society members sit together and think about or contemplate on these things, on the teachings, theosophical teachings. And she requested to read two books. I think it was three books, but I couldn't remember the third one. But I know one book is The Light of Asia. The second one is the Voice of the Silence. And if anybody else can remember the third one, it would be helpful. You can add in here. But I know those two, the first two books, but third one I was just couldn't remember it at all. But later on when I remember, I'll add in here. Yeah, so she says that read these books and remember that you are here to establish this kind of brotherhood, understanding your own divine nature is what you are. So Jeffrey Barborka affectionately referred to HPB as the light bringer. It truly, in every true sense, yes, she was a light bringer, because even after 140 years after she has passed away, we are sitting here talking about her and thinking about her. For that matter of fact, this morning, if there was no HPB, if there was no society, what would we be doing? Like, if we think like that, we would have been just get up, had our breakfast, sitting here, or going about our life's chores. And we would we would have been just like anybody else. But this morning we choose to be here to learn something, and something to look beyond our own life and our mundane existence, right? We think that there is something beyond out there that we are seeking. That itself, I think we are serving Madam Blavatsky, because we being here is what she's wants us to think, to question, to take this opportunity, like to regenerate our commitment to understanding the divinity within ourselves, and also to understanding the divine purpose and understanding the divine plan that is working in this world, and not just have our limited vision. So putting any effort towards this is something which she encouraged, on which we all do on May 8th, and which is called the White Lotus Day. And during her lifetime, we need to understand that her life was not a bed of roses, right? She went through a lot of criticism, a lot and lot of criticism. Actually, there's some other books that I read where they focus on how much she was criticized in the press, how much she was bullied, how much she was said that she was a charlatan, she was doing magic, black magic, and people and the press always used to surround her, ask her all these questions about how she is mesmerizing people, and she's a witch, she has witchcraft and that and this. Every day in and out, they used to slander her in the press. But she stood all that criticism, and she committed herself to serving the master so earnestly that all those criticisms she was able to overcome. At one point, I read somewhere that she used to get so upset. Sometimes she used to sit and cry, and she used to, like, be very upset, and her health used to get upset because people used to, because of all the bad things that they were writing about her. But at the end of the day, she used to say that, whatever anybody says, I know what I'm doing, and I know who I am serving, and I know who my masters are. So I do not need to answer to anybody else but for my masters, and I'm here just to serve my masters. To this end, this is one statement that David points out in the book, says that, to my judges, past and future, therefore, whether they are serious literary critics or those howling dervishes in literature who judge a book according to the popularity or unpopularity of the author's name, who hardly glance at its contents, fasten like lethal bacilli on the weakest point of the body, I have nothing to say. Because all her literary works were criticized so much, saying that, oh, she's just making up stories, oh, how can all this be true, what is clairvoyance? And this was in 1885, right, and 75. So imagine, this was like long back, 120 years back, or 40 years back. People were not so much open to this esoteric and ancient wisdom ideas. Esotericism was not even, like, word back then. Probably they didn't even know what this esoteric knowledge means. But when she brought this to the Western world, just by, as her masters had requested and guided her, she took the responsibility, and she was warned by the masters that task is going to be very difficult. It is not easy. If you are signing up for this, you have to let go of all this personal ego and that and this, which is going to be hurt for you, because people are going to attack you, people are going to defame you, they are going to uh, uh, like rally against whatever you are teaching. But you know what, you have to withstand this personal attack, because you have to understand that you are doing this for the higher purpose and good. Like, because of her struggles that she stood up that day, today we have that knowledge, that kind of guidance, even after she's passed away, because the principles and the foundations she left in the Theosophical Society as an organization has served millions of people, directly or indirectly, to get onto this path of spiritual quest, and also for quenching the thirst of people who have already been in the path and were lost. and they were looking for something, and they didn't know what it was, and she gave them the water that they were looking for, right? So this has, she says that, this is exactly what she wanted, like, for millions of people get benefit by this at her own personal stake. So that's why I think White Lotus Day, we have to be really thankful for her sacrifice that she has done in her life to give us this precious knowledge. Anybody wants to share your thoughts on that passage?
Yeah, I do. First thing is that coincidentally, May 8th falls on a Saturday. So we might consider having a meeting that day.
Yeah.
The other thing is, all masters have been criticized. I mean, Jesus didn't have a picnic while he was here. And then especially in India, it was under colonial rule. And there are two ways absolute power can exist. One is by the use of gun, and the other is by the use of mind control. And the colonists used both. They used guns, and they also used mind control by saying, well, we are superior. You just primates who stand upright, nothing more. So now all of a sudden HPB is talking about Eastern wisdom, which goes against the concept of European superiority in every way. So that was another reason for criticism.
Oh, yeah. That is a very good point, Jamshid. Thank you. I didn't think about it that way. That makes a lot of sense. That was also one of the reasons why she was personally attacked so much, because there was this most prevalent European superiority, as you mentioned, in both in America and in Europe. Yeah. Anybody else wants to add anything?
I just try to.
You muted yourself.
I think you have to unmute, Sergi.
No, we lost him. Okay, he's talking.
Okay, you have to unmute yourself, Sergi. We are not able to hear you.
Okay,
we got it.
30 seconds. It was really interesting that we mentioned May of 8, and in a couple of weeks we have this another day of the birth of Madame Blavatsky. But what I start to tell does not matter how critical being your views. Time is only one controller. If through this time, if after 130 years, we still every 2 weeks reading her books, always mention her name, this is the reason that he will come in eternity. Remember when you talk us about different generation, about course of light, round of light, and I think, don't worry if during some days you've been critical. Anyway, the time will price and we will evaluate everybody, and we just need to be patient, and this is only one way. And about even India, yes, British control, as with gun, as with the mindset, but now situation change. And sometimes you want to quick solution. We also want this blue pill, immediately get nirvana, immediately get on theosophy. It takes time. And this is my answer. Let's be patient, read, listen, and the day will come. And we will celebrate White Lotus Day maybe in the next 20 years. Thank you. Bye. I'm done.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next topic was the importance of history. So it has been said that the nation that does not respect its own history will have no future worthy of respect. So if you don't know where you have been, how can you know where you are going? This is a very important question, right? Because many people who came into the society come in for its teaching, but not many people pay attention to the history of how the society has come about. But David says that we have to, as members, we have to understand how difficult it was to bring up the society. At the same time, how our founding fathers and the presidents and members who have come after them have sacrificed their time, effort, and lifetimes to get society to the level that it is today, so that it continues to exist for the future generations and continues to serve humanity for a long time to come. Understanding the society's distinct and colorful past imparts a deep sense of appreciation and shapes one's perspective on its mission in the world. So once we understand how the history of society has been coming, then we have a deep understanding of what is the mission, why people have sacrificed their lifetimes and lives, why the adepts have to put in all their efforts with all the enormous amount of work that they have to do in the higher planes. They are coming down to our level, investing their time and effort to educate our leaders, and in turn make them educate us, write books, or leave all the contents for us to explore and learn from. Why are they investing all this money? I'm sorry, not money. Well, money also, but large part their knowledge. They are like, literally, they are they what they say that the flowing knowledge like milk is something like a connotation that I remember right now. So why are they doing that is, once we understand the mission of the society, then we know how important it is, because the mission of the society is to help humanity reach its divine potential. That means create that spark. You have to, there is that potential already there, there is already that fire inside, but we just have to unravel it and make everybody understand, hey, you have a divine potential within you, and use this time and is this life as an opportunity and a chance to ignite that, unravel that, and go in the right path. Now, many people will say, you know what? Whatever life has given, I'm very content with it. I do not want to think about all these serious matters. Why we have to worry about it? And those kind of people you can't help, right? If you think you're very happy and I'm content with the purpose of with the life, and you don't want to think about the purpose of life, there is nobody who can help them. But they just have to wait out for their karma to take a turn and get them on the right path. But at the same time, there are millions of people who are seeking for this knowledge, who are lost, who seem like they are just barely holding on to the in the sea of life, and they want something to hold on to, something which can guide them, which can, like, anchor them to the reality and the purpose of life. For those kind of people, this mission, this society, we have to make sure that we have to keep the lights on and the roof on, so that we can shelter those kind of people from getting lost for many lifetimes. Sometimes life is so hard for them, they just lose interest in God, they don't believe in anything, and they just turn to violent activities, go around. Today we can relate to this because there are many not young and old people who are lost in this purpose of life, and they give into so many misconceptions that they go around shooting people, they go around killing people. But imagine if everybody had this kind of knowledge as part of their education. Like, imagine if our education system inculcated this from a very childhood, there would not that would be an answer to a lot of violent activities that is taking place, and the whole whole nation structure and the society would have so much benefited from it. So that's what J Krishnamurti kind of envisioned, right? If you cannot change a person when just like you cannot bend a tree's branch when it has already become a full grown tree, but when it is small young, you can direct the branch to wherever it wants, whichever shape or whichever side you want it to direct to. It is easy to bend a small plant's branch, and so that way before it grows. The same way he said that if you are giving guiding giving the children, the future children, today you are giving them the right education in these kind of matters, may it be spirituality or self-realization or yoga or whatever, call whatever you may. If you are educating them in the right direction, then they get their life, they get to make a lot more useful of their life and the opportunities that they are presented, and how they interpret, how they study, instead of getting lost in their way in the battle of life. They can use this as an opportunity. That was a mission in the world, right? That was a mission. The society was started because they wanted to guide humanity to realize its divine potential. A short history of the Theosophical Society, in that book, Josephine Ranson quoted, "Watch the steady fulfillment of a purpose no matter what the obstacle. The purpose burns an unquenchable beacon along the pathway of the society. It is unquenchable because its flame is fed from the sources which we do not supply, and which none may extinguish save those in their wisdom lit it so long ago." So here she says that the society, the light which has been lighted in the society, is not any human task. It is beyond a human task. It is the masters themselves feeding it from their energy, and they know the higher purpose, and they think about how much it is going to help us. Probably every one of us here, say four of us here, probably masters started 100 years back that there will be four people who will be looking for this on this particular day, and I have to give them this knowledge, right? For probably what we take away from these society meetings helps us in many way in our many everyday life. So that something that they have thought about. Reading about this history in here, apart from that, I kind of related to what I was reading in the book Man, Whence, How, and Whither in the last class I spoke about. Leadbeater, Leadbeater in one of that chapters, he says that when Alcott was a president right now, and in his previous life, he was, we all know, he was King Ashoka. King Ashoka was ruled India in, I can't remember the century exactly, but it was sometime after Buddha. So he was a Hindu king, and he became a Buddhist because he got influenced with the Buddhist teachings. And then mainly Buddhism spread to China, Tibet, and all the other eastern parts, mainly because of the work of this King Ashoka, because he completely transformed there was a battle he goes through, battle called the Kalinga battle, wherein lakhs and thousands, hundreds and thousands of people are killed and animals are slaughtered. And he says that the whole they say that the whole battlefield was red because the blood was flowing like a river. When he sees this, he has a profound transformation within him. He gets very depressed. He says that, what is this I have done just to conquer one land? I have killed so many soldiers, so many people, so many animals, and so many injured. And he could not sleep for many days because of the cries of the people who were suffering, his soldiers who were like wounded and suffering. So he gets very depressed, and at that point he gets introduced to Buddhism, and that gives him all the answers that he was seeking for. From that point onwards, he just becomes a nominal king, head of the state, and his mission is to spread Buddhism across, and peace and compassion is what he wants to spread through this Buddhism. So he sends his kids, his two sons, to one to China, one to Tibet and Cambodia, Vietnam. There's a big lot of history. So he sends his kids to spread the Buddhism across the continent and spread this up not just Buddhism, but the message of peace and compassion across the communities. So when he is close to his deathbed, he gets again very depressed that, oh my God, I have not even touched 10% of the population of the world. I could have given more. I could have done more to spread this message. And he's very depressed that he has not done enough for the humanity. And that's when one of the masters appears to him. I think it's Master Maurya. So Master Maurya appears to him and he says that, oh, Ashoka, don't get so depressed because you have been a partner with us from many lifetimes, and in future also you will be serving us. This is not the end of your job because you. And then the master puts his hand on his on his eyebrows, and he helps him get a vision. He helps him get a vision of all his past lives, how he has been associated with the masters, and also his future. Okay, how his future is going to be. Now, important point you have to note is this is happening a few hundred years back, right? Now, Leadbeater in the early part of the 20th century, he's sitting and writing this book, Man, Whence, How and Whither. Now he's writing this book, and when he clairvoyantly he's going back and looking at how things happened in the back, when he comes to this point where King Ashoka is talking to, who is nothing but H.S. Alcott in his previous life, when he comes to that point, he stops, and now Leadbeater, he is looking into what the vision he got, like, what Alcott is seeing, he is able to clairvoyantly see. Now that's how he sees what the future is, and he writes in that book. This is very interesting how he puts it forth, right? So in that he says that Ashoka sees the vision that he is going to be born as Alcott. He is going to establish the society, and he's going to serve as a first president, and he's going to go to Sri Lanka and everywhere, and still he's going to spread the message. Himself is going to turn into a Buddhist again in this lifetime, which he did, and he's going to heal thousands of people. He's going to work for the masters again, spreading working for their mission, which he did. Now in his next lifetime, which is Leadbeater says, which is 450 years to 500 years from that point, which is like 100 years back. So say 400 years back from 400 years in future from now, Alcott is again going to be the president of the society, right? So Theosophical Society is still going to be there. He's going to be again the president of the society. He's still going to be serving in that capacity, but by that time you should know that the 6th sub-race has already started in California. Right? So there is a separate sect of people where the masters are training for them to start the 6th root race. So this community of people who are living in the island of California, but by that time there is a big earthquake and California is separated from the main American land and it has become an island. Okay, so now in that island there is this selected group of people who are living there. What are they doing? The masters, they have advanced technology, they are spiritually guided by the masters are living among them, and every person, it is a community of 200,000 to 300,000 selected people. And Leadbeater says every single one of them have gone through the process of theosophical training in one lifetime or more than one lifetimes. They have accumulated this kind of knowledge, and they have done the groundwork and the prep work. Now they are going there, and this community, they are living by themselves. Now Alcott is also part of the community, and the community rules are they are not supposed to intermarry with anybody else, because Vaivasvata Manu himself has incarnated and started that race. So he wants to keep them separated, because he wants to, from those people, he is going to start the 6th root race people, right? That is going to be the highest point. Now these people cannot marry anybody from the mainland, which is the rest of the world. And the rest of the world also, there is a lot of peace and prosperity now. There is no poverty anymore. Most of the nations have become a confluence now, and then they are mostly working towards green energy, and then they are not destroying the environment anymore, not many pollutions, there is no poverty, there is no child labor, many things have been taken care of. And at that point, Alcott, who is also part of this group, he is asked to go. Society headquarters is still in Adyar and Chennai, and he is still the president there, because he goes there and he takes care of. And they say that the headquarters building, if you guys have seen in Adyar, that building is replaced by a new building, but the campus is still intact. Now, this was interesting when I was reading of the importance of the history. As much as we know the history, where how society has come forward, we have also been given a vision of what it is going to be in future, right? So it's just that we are in a transition path. We will come back into the same family again. That should give us a lot of hope that yes, we are guided by the masters. We will be in the path as long as we are putting our earnest effort to understand what is the mission of the society and working towards it. And even in a small, they say that even if you put like a ants step, like you take a small step towards this understanding yourself and working towards that path, then the masters are always giving you the blessings to move forward. So this is something interesting I just wanted to share. At least I thought it was interesting. So any thoughts on this?
I have a thought. When Ashoka was disturbed by all the blood and killing and everything, why didn't he rely on the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna instructs Arjuna that going to battle, even though people are going to be killed, is his dharma? So wouldn't what Ashoka did also be his dharma?
Okay, the purpose of the Kurukshetra battle was definitely, it was because the Kauravas were on the path of adharma, right? They were capturing the lands. They rightfully had no right to the throne, but still they played the dice game. They defeated the Pandavas and then tricked them into they did a lot of trickery, and everything was happening, right? So that's why, because that adharma was going, and they disrespected a female, that means their own sister-in-law, in their court, in their what do you call it, the court, the king's court, right? They literally put her to shame by stripping her nude and doing all those things. That in that age and time, women were respected like goddesses. Like, if you are a married woman, nobody doesn't even look you in the eye to eye and think of you anything bad. And especially when they are your own sister-in-law, you have to treat them as your mother. But they disrespected her so much by stripping her nude and things like that. And apart from that, they did so many other things. So and also Krishna went to them many times for sandhi meaning for diplomatic dialogue. Like, you go there and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong, let's sit down and talk, and let's settle this matter without war. He went many times to them, but telling them that what you guys are doing wrong, but they were not ready to listen. And that's when that bad dharma was overruling the real one, then Krishna had to come in, step in. The war was the only option, right? Well, even the day before the war, Krishna says that even now, if you want to talk, Duryodhana, we will talk, we will settle, I will be the mediator, let's settle it, let's not put all these people through this battle. But when he did not submit to that, then they had to go for war. So that's why it is called not just a war, it is called a dharma yuddha. Dharma yuddha means the war for the dharma, to keep the dharma upright. Okay, now that was the kind of war that was Kurukshetra. Now let's come to Kalinga War. Kalinga War was not a Dharma Yuddha. It was not a war for keeping the righteousness or upholding the righteousness and Dharma ideals, right? It was a war to capture somebody's territory. He was not that king who he waged war on, King Ashoka. That king was ruling his land. He was just ruling his people. He was not doing he was not doing anything that bad to the people. He was probably a average king, everything. But just because Ashoka had a bigger army, bigger elephants, lot more elephants and lot more horses and lot more army, he thought that he wants to capture, and he waged a war on that person, right? So then he cannot justify that I am doing a dharma yuddha. Not all wars are dharma yuddhas, right? Only if somebody is subjecting you to some horrible bad things, and then somebody else comes to stop it, then you can attack that person because you are trying to protect somebody. This Kalinga war was not like that. It was just a war to occupy the territory. So that's why he couldn't justify his war. And also why he didn't turn to Bhagavad Gita is like, probably, as I said, mentioned earlier, at that point of time, um, Buddhism spoke to him at that, and also probably that was in the divine plan too. Buddhism, probably because of his efforts, actually, no, it is when we were in school, we studied Indian history. It is said that only if King Ashoka was not there, Buddha didn't go around preaching too very far. He stayed in Varanasi, Sarnath, and that within that radius of 1,000 miles only he was there. But to Buddhism spread more than India. It spread to many other eastern countries. It is because of the work of Ashoka, because he wrote a lot of he hired a lot of people to write transcripts, because then there was no printing machine. People used to sit and write all the Buddhist teachings and take those pamphlets all the way to different parts of the country and spread the message.
Thank you.
So that is a little bit of the importance of the history, and also a little bit vision into the future, which our masters have given to us. Okay, so this is what I already touched based on. We are here to discover and realize our divine potential and all those things, right? So one of the other topics that is covered in this chapter is the remarkable healing powers of Colonel Olcott. Colonel Olcott was, like, as we mentioned, he was the co-founder and also the first president. So when he was, even before coming into society and everything, he knew that he had some kind of powers, because he could feel it, but he had not nurtured or developed it. Because if you look at the life history of Colonel Olcott, he was an army man. He fought in the Civil War, and then he was a general in there. And then after the war, President Lincoln appointed him as a member of a commission which was set to look into the war discrepancies. There was a lot of the war funds which were misused, and many people did a lot of war crimes kind of stuff had happened, and he was part of the commission set up to investigate these kind of stuff. Once that was done, and during that process, during that period of time, he realizes that he has certain abilities, but he had not focused on developing or nurturing them. But once he gets into touch with Madame Blavatsky, so now somebody tells him that, okay, there is this lady who has come here, Blavatsky, and she has this all mystical. She's a mystic. She has mystical power. She can do magic, that, this, and all. Then he gets more curious. He's like, what is this lady doing? And they say that by nature he was a very doubtful nature, because he never accepted anything anybody said until he reasoned it out. So once he meets her and she is able to give him that explanation and everything, then he trusts, and then the society is established, and that's history now. Now then he is going around spreading the society to all parts of the world, and in his travels when he comes to Sri Lanka, back then it was called Ceylon, around 1982-83, he writes in his autobiography, The Old Dairy Leaves, he writes that during that time he started doing certain kind of meditation and all the other things, and his mystical powers grew. So that means he developed energies that he was able to develop his own energy so that he could harness them and cure other people of their illnesses. So he did establish certain schools, or schools for the teaching the Buddhist principles and Buddhist teachings, spread the Buddhist teachings too. Apart from that, he used to heal a lot of people, to the extent he became so famous in Sri Lanka. People used to line up in front of his house from early morning, because the word spread so fast that there is this guy who can heal your body with of any diseases. So from morning till evening, that's all he used to do. There was also a time when he was such a nice compassionate person, right? He couldn't say no to anybody who showed up here to his door. He used to spend time to heal them. But one thing we have to understand with respect to the healing is, healing comes with your etheric body, yeah, like your pranic body. Pranic body meaning 6 inches. I had touched based on this in the previous class, but probably you already know, but I'll just recap it. Six inches out of our body is our energy body. The energy body is the one which is also called as the vitality, because the vitality or the prana or the life comes from the sun to our body. How does it enter in? If you remember what we studied in Chakra's book, the sun is pouring out, literally pouring out, not just light and heat, the energy or the prana or the chi that we call, that is called in the Chinese thing, that he's literally pouring out that energy, prana. And that is literally like, if you see around me, if you are clairvoyant, if you see any person, you will see like a light going from our navel region to that pranic center. That means there is a plenty of prana karke. That means one like a cloud. Imagine it's like just a cloud as you see in the sky. There is a like ozone layer. The whole of earth is covered with this sun's prana, and every single one of us is absorbing that prana into our body. And that's how I am able to talk here. You are able to sit there, for that matter of life point. We are having life because that connection is there between our body, our energy body, and the sun's energy body. Now, if a person has a disease, if a person is very sick and ill for many years, and they are suffering certain kind of chronic ailments, what happens is, either in that part of the body or within their whole energy system, somehow the capacity to get this prana or this energy from the sun has been diminished. Now, say for example, I'll give you one example. The way is, now you have a tank, overhead water tank, and you have a faucet or a hose running from it. So if you have a hose which is nice and big, and your hose is like I don't know what to say, but like a big one, then you get more water, right? But if you connect a small hose to it, you get very small water from the tank, from the tap. Say for example, you have a very small hose. At the same time, the hose is twisted here and there. So what is the amount of effect of water you are effectively getting is very small, because there is a lot of twist in the hose. That's exactly what happens for people who have certain chronic ailments. That means somehow that pranic energy, that pranic connection that what we have with the sun is twisted and turned for no reason. That's why certain parts of the body will hurt, or you will have certain diseases that does, like you have, some people have psoriasis, skin disease, some people have have diminished hearing power, some people have diminished vision, some people can't smell, many things will happen, right? Like starting from diabetes to cancer to anything, if you don't have that prana coming into you properly, you will have these kind of diseases. Now if you know a method, certain what do you say, I don't want to say occult, but it is just a certain there is a scientific way how you can harness this energy by connecting a bigger hose to that pranic energy, and you can draw in that energy. Not only draw in that energy, if somebody is sick, I can draw in and give that energy to that person. That is what Alcott was well versed in. What he used to do is, he used to draw that energy and heal the people by giving that energy. Not just Alcott, we have heard of stories about how Jesus brought the dead back to life, how he cured many people of their many illnesses just by touching them. And also some people even in Catholics today, they have this people who are called attained sainthoods because they do miracles. One of the miracles they do talk about is healing healing people. So this is not something spoken about in one religion or two religion. Every religion, in the true sense, if the gurus, the adepts who have evolved to that level, they are able to do this one. That's what Alcott was used to do. It is once written that he used to do it so much that by the end of the day he barely had energy to stand for himself, because he used to donate his prana to people to heal that. So that's why after some point masters asked him to take a break, because he said that you are going to kill yourself by doing this, because you are giving even your own energy to people like that. And masters suggested him to stop and take a break for some time and go to Adyar and rest. And they also asked him every day afternoon around mid-noon, like sharp at noon, 12 in the afternoon, when the sun is at its peak, Alcott had to sleep outside in the garden or anywhere outside where there's a lot of sunlight. He had to sleep outside for 30 to 40 minutes so that his own energy could replenish. And even today in some of the Hindu cultures, they say that even afternoon, noon, you have to step outside and pray to the sun god, like just go outside and do a namaste or something like that. Probably my personal feeling is probably this was the reason they used to say that you will get your more prana or energy, and your life energies will get activated whenever you step outside at 12 o'clock and look at the sun or be in the sun for 10-15 minutes. Apart from that, there's also scientifically proven now that your vitamin D levels are controlled by the sun, right? Vitamin D is completely, we get it from the sun. Our skin manufactures it because of the light that's fallen on the skin. They say that by 12 o'clock, if you can stay the whole day, morning and evening in the sun, but the amount of vitamin D produced is comparatively very less compared to when you do it in midday. At 12 o'clock, 20 minutes before and after 12, during the 12 o'clock period, if you go out in the sun, that vitamin D levels are triple the amount compared to even staying 10 minutes around that time compared to other times of the day. So that speaks for itself, right? We have even scientific proof, and we have many masters who have spoken about the same thing. And also we have our own president who has written about it, saying that how this prana and energy is very active around that time. So that was something very interesting. Anybody wants to share something here? Okay. Okay. The third two topics I will club in here: the practicality of ideas. So here in this paragraph, like he says about how theosophy is more practically applicable to us in our everyday life. There might be a lot of doctrines that are presented, but the theosophist is often asked what practical good the Theosophical Society is doing in and for the world, and the answer is simple enough and direct to the point of the question. We work with ideas. We try to show men that there is nothing more practical and more forceful than an idea. Ideas shake civilizations and overthrow them. Look what has happened in the past, what brought about such changes about ideas. So this is what he says, that theosophy is serving this purpose to give people the idea. Just say, let's talk about this idea, right? What is an idea? Somebody gets an idea to simple thing, put pineapple on a pizza. That is also an idea, and many people started loving it. Then somebody had an idea that we have to go to the moon, step on the moon. We want to go and see what is there on the moon, right? That is an idea. That idea changed the world. The same way, what theosophy is doing is practically giving every human being ideas how they can find their own divine potential. Apart from that, ideas to understand, or for the path to get on to understanding the purpose of life, right? This idea is not something which is going to build a building outside. It's not going to build a rocket and put a rocket on the or build a spaceship. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, we need all those things for technological advancements, but an idea to understand your own self, an idea to look at this life as with a different perspective, and understand not just the purpose of materialistic gains, achieving materialistic gains is the purpose of life, but an idea to understand life as a whole is not just one lifetime, it is many, many lifetimes which is happening in conjunction, and the soul is developing. That idea, if you can see it into every person's, imagine if we can put that idea into every living human creature, that this life is not the end of it. There are many lifetimes you have been born before, and there are many lifetimes you will be born hereafter. And so think what actions you are doing. If you can put that seed into every person's brain, imagine how much changes we can bring about in this world, right? That just the thought of, like, I am going to be born again and I'm going to pay for the price for all the karma that I'm going to be doing will stop people from doing it. Just the idea that thinking a bad thought will come back and hit me again will stop many people from thinking bad things, right? That is what the society is doing. That's what he says. This was very interesting for me, because I never thought about it in that way, that create that idea, that generating that idea. There's many people even lack the idea that why we are here. They don't even want to think, they don't even have an understanding, and they don't even want to think about it. But imagine if it was more prevalent, then there would be a profound change, not at a society level or outward level, but at the inner core of every human being. We would and be able to bring about a profound change, and that's what the society is doing, even for the small group of members that we are part of it. Any thoughts here? Okay, next topic we can go is orthodoxy and not diversity and not orthodoxy. Doctrines is desirable. A doctrinaire approach to their study is not. These doctrines or principles have been enunciated differently by various commenters, each of whom may have some unique insight or perspective. Truth and reason are common to everyone, and no more belong to the man who first spoke them to the man who says them later. So he says that truth and reason are common to everyone, no more belong to the man who first spoke them than to the man who says them later. So here he brings about the point how Theosophy gathers its members or its followers not from diverse group of people, not by orthodox. Orthodox is like being very rigid in their belief system or anything, but we are open to bring in ideas from different religion, different cultures, different backgrounds, different even atheist, agnostics, anybody, whoever there is who believe in God, who don't believe in God, they can all bring in their ideas, diverse ideas into the society and still find that there is something common, and for us everybody to take a lesson from that. That is what here he says that about the Theosophical Society is that we have that diversity and not a orthodoxity. Orthodoxity is a blind belief in somebody whatever anybody has said. Orthodoxy in theosophy is a thing neither possible nor desirable. It is diverse of opinion within certain limits that keeps the Theosophical Society a living and healthy body. We are in not such healthy divergence would be were it not such healthy divergence would be impossible, and the society would degenerate into a sect in which a narrow and stereotyped creed would take the place of the living and breathing spirit of truth and ever growing knowledge. So this is very, very important, right? If there was no diversity, then we would again become some kind of sect which is not open to any new ideas, which just keeps on following the same old dogmatic principles, which we are totally against. And he says that, sorry, this is a quote by HPB. So she says that society would degenerate into a sect in which a narrow and stereotyped creed would take place of the living and breathing spirit of the truth and ever growing knowledge. That's what we have to commit ourselves: living, breathing spirit of truth and ever growing knowledge. That's what we should strive to do. I think that's the end of the topics that I had. Anybody wants to add anything? If I have missed anything, please feel free to add in here.
Can you please repeat one more time how the prana affect our daily life? It was really interesting when you mentioned about prana, and when we've been outside after 12, the prana and our spirit, how it's connected. Can you tell a little bit more if it's possible?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, the spirit has a house. The body is a house for the spirit to experience the life, right? The divine spirit comes into this body and experiences the life and leaves the body and moves on. Now, for say, for example, I'll give one other example. Say for you have to live in a house, okay? If you want to live in a house, just 4 walls is not enough, right? You need the AC, you need the plumbing, you need the water, you need a roof, you need the food in the house, you need many basic amenities around the house. If not luxurious, but at least basic. We need water, we need fire, we need air, and we need a roof on the top. Like these 4 things. Just like that, for any divine, for any soul to incarnate in a body and sustain the body, if you think of as a house with like basic 4 walls, the prana is the one which gives us the all this facilitates the spirit to be in the body. So the prana is the energy which has been imparted, which has been given to the body, so the soul can dwell in it, right? So where are we getting this prana from? This prana is coming to us from the sun, because sun is a physical entity on this planet, on this world, in this world. It is one entity or one god. They call it is the only god and the highest form of god that we can physically see, right? There are many adepts, there are many gods, but physically we can see and experience, the only god we can see and experience is sun god. So that's why even in the ancient Egypt civilization, Greeks, Romans, everybody worshipped the sun god. Everybody had an understanding of this. When the sun god was called Apollo, right? So he was placed as one of the highest gods, and he was like told that he was like the caretaker for that kingdom and everything. So in understanding this one, we need to understand how this works. The first thing is the sun, apart from giving the heat and the light, the third aspect that comes out of it is called the vitality. Vitality is the prana which comes out of it. It comes out of the sun. Just give me 1 second. I'll bring something that can help you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll show you one picture which will help you understand. So this prana or vitality is constantly being thrown by the sun from morning till evening. So there are different types of prana which comes out from the sun. The morning sun, that means 20 minutes before the sunrise and 20 minutes after the sunrise, when the sun is at 30 degree, not above 30 degree from the horizon, from your viewpoint, if the sun has not raised 30 degrees or above, that sun rays are called mitra. This is defined. Ancient Hindu mythology talks a lot about sun god. There are a lot of sun chanting and everything that has been given. So that sun rays gives you mitra, meaning it helps your body to chakras. I need the chakras book. It is in that book in the TV stand. Yeah, or in the bedroom somewhere. So that 30 degree before the 30 degree angle the sun rises, it helps you in conducive for your spiritual growth. That means you go outside, you expose yourself, you do certain kind of chanting, you do that mantras and all those things. It helps you to develop your energy body and also your spiritual body, spiritual mind, right? But when in the afternoon 20 minutes before noon and 20 minutes after noon, that is a time wherein a lot of energy or vitality has been thrown out by the sun and the atmosphere is full of this vitality. If you go outside, you can absorb it. Like say for example, I'm thinking what it like there is rain, okay. if it is raining very heavily and you go outside, or the plants or your plants will get a lot of water within 5 or 10 minutes, right? If it rains, pours down very heavily, within 5 minutes the ground is soaked and your plants get a lot of water. But if it is drizzling for like 20 minutes or for like 20 hours, it is drizzling very slowly, then even the ground upper surface might not be wet, right? It might be 20 hours, but it is only drizzling very small amount of water has effectively fallen on that plant. The same example, if you go in the noon, it is just like a thunderstorms. The prana is like just like showering down so heavy and hard that you can absorb a lot of it. But the rest of the times it is not that high. So I mean, it is there, it is definitely there, but it is not very high. Going like that, by the end of the evening, by evening, just before 20 minutes before your sunrise and 20 minutes after a sunset, 20 minutes before the sunset and 20 minutes after the sunset is called the Sandhya Kala. In that Sandhya Kala also, there is a lot of shower which comes in. Now, after the sun sets, okay, this is very important. After the sun sets, there is no vitality which comes in the world. There is no new vitality which comes into the world. It is just whatever has already been thrown out by the sun. Until the next day morning, we are using the same vitality, absorbing slowly slowly we'll keep on absorbing until the next day sunrise. Now by early morning, now this is written in by Leadbeater in the book Chakras, and also by Blavatsky. She talks about, I think, in the Divine Plan. So she says that early morning by 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, most of the people have already used up so much of vitality which was already left behind. And like say you have 10 donuts in the house, everybody is eating one donut for 1 hour. There are 4 people. By the end of morning, you will already be running low on the stock, right? The same thing happens by morning 3 or 4 o'clock, the stock of vitality is very less. Okay. And that's why in Hindu culture, from very long back, they have said that do not sleep after 3 o'clock. Get up and get outside. Go do a bath, do puja, do that, this. Because sleeping and putting your head down, lying parallel, your capacity to absorb the vitality is very less. And if you go, even today, you go look into any records in the cardiology, in the medical history, you will see that 80 to 85% of the heart attacks happen from morning 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. when people are in their sleep. This is medically proven. None of the medical doctors know even today why that is the case. They don't know why people die. Most of the heart attacks happen around that time. But this answer was already given thousands of years back by the rishis and the sages, who said that the vitality is very important for you to be alive. It is not your food, it is not your exercise, it's not anything else, but that if your body loses that vitality, you will immediately die. People who already have some pre-existing conditions, if they are sleeping around that time and if they are not active, then that vitality is very reduced and immediately body goes into a cardiac arrest. Now, what do we do? What is the alternate for that is get up early in the morning around 3 or 4 a.m. and they said go outside and be ready, because by the sunrise there is a high shower of this vitality coming in, so you can absorb so much for the day. For the whole day it keeps you moving and also keeps your body very healthy. So that is what in the Chakras book and in the Divine Plan book Leadbeater and Blavatsky say about that. I asked my kids to get the book so I could show you how the vitality looks like. Let me, if you guys are okay, I can go quickly grab it. They are just struggling to find, or we can do it next class. That's okay with me. If you're running late.
Yeah, thank you for answer. It's clear for me right now. Thank you, Vidya.
No problem.
That was a good presentation, Vidya.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Jamshid. Thank you. Okay, sorry, they're not able to find it.
Okay.
Let me go quickly look for it. I didn't find that exact book, but if you want to know more about this point, right?
Yes.
You can refer to this book. It's called The Etheric Double. This whole book is about that, our prana, Shakti, and how we can enhance it, how we can support it, how we can, what activities we can do to enhance our health and things like that. So this is written by author E. Powell. I'm seeing, because in the chakras book, Annie Leadbeater gives the exact picture of how that vitality is. And it is like in a form of a spinning top. Okay, let me. It is like this, something like that, but it is a properly circulated part. Now, one more thing, if you can, if you want to do this practically, whenever you are in a beach or outside, and it is not very sunny, not very cloudy kind of day, if you look at the sun, if you look at the sky, but don't look at a one particular spot, where you just have a broad vision, but you don't look at one specific spot. Look at the horizon where the sun, where as far as you can see, where the earth and the sky kind of meet, especially in an open space. And if you don't put your eyesight on specific spot, but just look at generally, you can actually see this vitality. It will be like small stars all around. You can see that in the periphery of your vision, not directly. Okay, if you don't pay attention to specific spot, then you can see that these small vitality globules will be like this. It's white spots. You can see like stars shining, but it is very fast spinning, right? So I have seen this many times, and everybody can see this actually if you know what you're looking for. So it literally looks like small, say that fire bugs, right? Fireflies, or the bugs which come and go in the night time and light up. What are those called? Fireflies. Am I right?
Yes, fireflies.
Like fireflies, you will see them hovering around in your periphery of your vision, but you should not, when you focus on them, you will not see, but you should just look at the sides. You can see it. Those are the vitality particles, and they are very high when there is a lot of trees around, when there's a nice sunshine, or in the beaches it is very, very much more. When I was young, I used to see this all the time, but I did not know what it was. I always used to wonder, but then when I read the book, then I understood, oh, okay, these are the ones.
Yes, like a channel through which we can connect it or be affected. Yes, Vidya.
But there need to be moderation as well, right? I mean, if you have too much prana, then is there?
I think with respect to too much prana, I haven't studied, but I think your body will absorb only as much as it can, and the rest it will be just flowing out of the body, and your aura will be very clear when you have a lot of prana. And also people who are able to absorb it a lot, when they come across to you or when you are with them, you feel very happy sitting next to them and you're talking to them. Some people have a natural tendency to absorb a lot of this prana, and they give it out to other people. And also kids have an ability to absorb a lot of prana. That's why when kids are some young kids are with very old people who are about to die, or 90s, 100s, and they're very sick and bedridden, when kids go to them and they hold their hand or spend a lot of time around such kind of people, they will lose their prana, because those old people have a tendency to, it's like a sponge, because they are that body or that energy is looking for sources to absorb the prana, but it doesn't have the capacity to absorb it directly from the sun. But some kids who are very active and they have a lot of prana, they don't know how to control it, right? So these kind of people will absorb it like a sponge from them.
But it will happen automatically, not the old people predisposed to take this. This is happened some mysterious way. It's not that the old person directly want to get this prana. It just happened, you know.
It's just a natural tendency. Like a sponge. Sponge doesn't even have to have a brain to absorb water, right? If it is around the water, it will absorb just like that. Yeah. It is not a, it's not a conscious decision.
It's something on another level.
Yeah.
And also, but then another thing's practical, as you say. In Texas, you and I live here. I live for 27 years. It's a lot of conversation of so-called Texas sun, which can affect and bring some kind of skin disease. Yeah, how people will react what you tell. Yeah.
No. Yeah, we cannot go around talking to this general people. Then they're gonna have a lot of.
They always tell put black glasses, cover your skin, because especially for the ladies, they say, "Oh, why we get shrinking? We get so much on the sun, Texas sun." Yeah, and people from the north, from Siberia, they have a soft skin because we don't have a sun. You know.
That is, it's not for open public debate. We can win an argument in that. But but there are some chantings, especially given out in Hinduism for to make this vitality for you to absorb more, and you have any diseases and all. There are some chanting you can do standing in the sun, which helps you to attract those molecules more and cure your diseases and all those things. Yeah. So anyway, I hope I did justice to the topic and for the chapter.
Thank you very much for bringing your view into the topic and sharing your knowledge with us as well. Those are very wonderful history and subject matter that you brought into the essay as well.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate and thanks for the opportunity for sharing my limited.
And at least I will start to be early at the morning and always looking for the higher purpose, not just living around and wasted my retirement money. Yeah.
That's one thing my mom used to say. I am not a very morning person. I used to sleep a lot in the morning. Time was a nice sleep, you know, from 4 to 6 o'clock is very nice sleep. My mom used to say, you know what? PB used to say, you should never sleep after you wake up. Once your eyes opens up, if you have observed, which I have observed in my own personal experience, around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock is called a Brahma Muhurta. And the energies are so active around that time, your body will automatically wake up. And if you, instead of keeping your body parallel to the ground, if you keep it perpendicular to the ground, you will get energy not just from the sun, but you will also observe the earth energies, because the earth energies and the sun energies are aligning around that time. And if you keep your body erect at that time, that is the best thing we can do for our spiritual growth, because automatically the powers will align themselves and growth happens and meditation happens at a very accelerated rate. That's why in India, anybody in in this spiritual path, they always get up at 3 o'clock and meditate. So for me, that was my very best time to sleep and all. My mom used to say, you know what, you're completely against what Blavatsky is saying. You have to get up early and do all these things. So it takes a lot of discipline for that.
But at least when you say this 1,000 years ago, you already know, the Indian already know that why all the bad things happen with us during the morning because of our wrong position. Basically, it's true. The same thing. It's true, because in the age of experience, thousands of years. Yes. Without all this diagnostic and expensive MRI and all these machines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording